Thank you, Swara, for coming so early in the morning. Appreciate it. And
You know, I only wake up for shoots, so it's only because I'm a loyal News Laundry subscriber.
thank you so much. Appreciate that. And just so you know, we had a dinner last night, the inaugural dinner for the Media Rumble. And I'm sure some of the delegates are still recovering from the hangover, so they'll trickle in, certainly. And Swara's father, who's a very accomplished commentator and a man from the forces, he writes columns for a whole bunch of very good media organizations, said that the protective father instinct kicked in. She says, Swara's got the flu, did she tell you?
Oh, God.
So I said, no. He says, yeah, she'll be brave and try to come, but she has the flu. And then he paused, thinking, ki besharam bol de chhod. It's okay, forget. But I didn't. So thank you so much for coming.
He's just making sure that no one takes selfies with me after the session.
So Swara needs an introduction. She's done some fantastic work over the last few years. And I certainly have been noticing her from the early days of the appearances that she used to make on cinema, and some really brave roles, some fantastic performances. But her most fantastic performance, I think, in today's day and age, and those of you who attended Gulzar Saab's session last evening, was that how people in the film industry have lost their voice. And in such a climate, a voice like hers is rare. So congratulations and thank you for that. I think that's wonderful, and can we have a huge round of applause on that, because until we support stuff like that, others will not step forward. But first, Swara, I want to come to the gender piece, because yesterday we released 2 reports in partnership with the UN and Oxfam on women representation in the media. And I'm not just talking about editors and editor-in-chiefs. I'm talking about op-ed space. And we didn't think the numbers would be great, but they were so dismal that it was depressing. In your experience in cinema, is there gender representation a little better? I mean, we don't have the data for it, but since you work in that space, we hear names like Meghna Gulzar or Zoya Akhtar. Zoya.
It's good you're not an actor, Abhinandan.
But just the environment, because I worked in a news organization that was held by a woman and then held by a man, the same organization, and it changes character. There is no doubt about it. So I've worked on Meera Nair's film set as a camera assistant, where I used to wrangle cable for Monsoon Wedding, and the environment there was very different. Meera didn't have to send out a memo that this is what you can and cannot do, but all the men on that set knew the language they could use, the things they could get away with or not. And it changes completely when a man's at the helm of affairs, and no memos are sent out. That's just how it is. So in your experience, all the cinema you've done, do you find that? And are there enough women in technical roles, leadership roles?
Yeah, so firstly, hi everyone. The thing is that Bollywood has always had women from its very early sort of phases and stages, because, they needed women to be in front of the camera. And they've always had women so as in the performing roles. But very few people know that women also played a role behind the camera from early cinema onwards. I mean, Bombay Talkies was set up by a woman, and Devika Rani, right? Devika Rani, yeah. She was one of the most powerful figures of the early Bombay cinema, that period.
Famous kiss.
She gave, I think it was Devika Rani, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, she gave Dilip Kumar a break. So she was a huge figure in the early time. Very few people, I think, know that Nargis ji's mother was a music director. Also, she did do composition for a few films. So women have always been involved. And then, of course, there was Hunter Wali, Fearless Nadia, who kind of really began to break stereotypes as early as possible within cinema. But of course, I think that you're absolutely right that in non-performing roles, so in the technical and behind the camera, largely speaking, while there have been women, it is definitely not an equal representation. Even today, when there are far more women directors, women producers, women camera people in the camera department, gaffers, and of course the costume and styling departments, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an equal representation, but I think that things are changing very rapidly. That said, of course, Bollywood is still, I think that Bollywood is coming to the point where I'm sure that they're pretty much accepting that as well, that it is very skewed in terms of gender and power dynamics within the industry. You know, this is really interesting short anecdote. Okay, I mean, I can, before you ask your next question, because it gives a really good understanding of what Bollywood, what the DNA of Bollywood is when it comes to gender. So this is an anecdote that I've heard via various people, and I always say it, and some of you, I don't think anyone here has heard it, but basically, Kamal Amrohi Sahab was back then doing a film, he was writing a script, and he wasn't being able to find an entry scene for the heroine. So he was really struggling with ki heroine ki entry kaise honi chahiye. So he was like, what the hell? And his manager said, all right, let me kind of, look around and I'll find a writer. So they found a writer from Lucknow who they called from Lucknow, and he told Kamal Amrohi Saab ki बहुत अच्छा नया लड़का है, बहुत अच्छा writer है, आप try करें, मतलब उसे बुला लेते हैं. So he came from Lucknow, and he was, of course, like, it was like the biggest thing in his life, like he was some Garib writer, and Kamal Amrohi, and he was like, oh my God. So he came and they had a meeting, and Kamal Saab gave him his vision and told him the story, whatever. And this boy said, okay, this young man said, okay, ठीक है, मैं कुछ सोचता हूँ, sir, मैं लिख के आता हूँ. And of course, like all strugglers, first thing they do is go pay homage to Marine Drive in Bombay. So he landed up at Marine Drive and thought, and then a scene came to him. So he called up the manager and he said, I've cracked something, can I meet Kamal Saab? And he was like, already? And he said, हाँ. He said, ठीक है, आप कल सुबह आ जाइए. So this boy came in the morning and he told Kamal Saab कि sir, scene ऐसा है कि हीरो जो है वो पतंगबाजी कर रहा है छत पे और पतंग उड़ा रहा है और उसकी पतंग कट जाती है और वो भागता है पतंग के पीछे और वो छत फांदता है और लांगता है और वो कूद के जाता है और हम ये ऐसे शॉट ले सकते हैं दौड़ते हुए हीरो का और वो छत फांद रहा है वो पतंग उड़ती जा रही है और वो पतंग उड़ते उड़ते एक दूसरे मोहल्ले से होके एक गली से मुड़ के वो जाके किसी एक साइकिल रिक्शे पे कोई बैठा है वो किसी के चेहरे पे लगती है और वो जिसके चेहरे पे लगी है वो शख्स पतंग को हटाता है और वो हीरोइन का चेहरा है. एंड एवरीवन इन द ऑफिस वाज लाइक वाओ, मतलब क्या सीन है, लाइक कमाल, क्या एंट्री है हीरोइन की. नॉल कमाल साहब हर्ड इट एंड ही सेड हाँ बहुत बढ़िया. टर्न टू हिज मैनेजर एंड सेड भाई साहब इनकी टिकट कटा दो वापस लखनऊ की. सो दिस गाय वाज लाइक कि माफ़ करिएगा क्या हो गया, मतलब अच्छा नहीं लगा आपको, कुछ दिक्कत हो गई, गलती है. सो इट सीम्स दैट कमाल साहब सेड टू हिम, बरखुदार हमारे हीरो की पतंग नहीं कटती. and I thought that it's a great anecdote, it's a great line, but it is so telling. It is so telling of how, for the longest time, Bollywood wrote its female characters. You know, that you could never have a female character doing anything at the expense of the hero or the male character. And I think that when it comes to gender and cinema, I think that has really been a very recognizable feature of Hindi films. And I think that is changing now. And that is why today's Bollywood is so interesting. I mean, it's always been interesting, but that's what's special and different now and exciting for actresses like me.
Okay, I thought that anecdote would end with, and then Kamal Amrohi Saab rejected it, and Salman Khan used it in that Pahalwan film. You know isn't that how it starts? With
oh, really? Is it? Oh, yeah.
What was it called? Rustam, Sultan, right?
You have no career in Bollywood,
no,
okay?
I do.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm just bad with names. But otherwise, I have the scene etched in my memory, but names escape me. So, you know, speaking of gender, I am active on social media as well, and being a news professional in such a partisan time, you know, you're used to being attacked now, and it doesn't bother me at all because it's something that comes with the territory, and you know.
Until you get tagged in a tweet with me.
Yes, and I thought, you know, you face the worst, kya bol denge, you know, because a lot of people say, oh, this is terrible, and I got trolled, and I mean, often I have seen panels, and you know, I was on watching a panel once with Shashi Tharoor, Omar Abdullah, and I forget the third person, a politician as well. And okay, fine, don't rub it in. It was Simranjit Badal, Harsimran Badal.
No career in politics either.
So yeah, clearly, I'm stuck with news. And they, about 30 minutes of that panel discussion, they were just whining about we were trolled on social media. I'm like, dude, they're politicians. I mean, that's hardly anything. But then I tweeted something that was making fun of a panelist who often screams at prime time. And I got my usual abuse and trash for it. And then Swara retweeted it. And then the next 3 days, the quantity and quality of the data coming in through those 240 characters blew my mind. And I said, we can say we know what it's like being a woman, we don't know. Just like I used to say, I know what it's like being a Muslim. I didn't until I was pulled out when I was in my dadi and white kurta pajama at the LA airport. And I was like, dude, if I had to deal with this every day, I would be angry. But it's really horrible to be on social media if you're an opinionated woman. Why do you do it? And why do you think that is? You think it is unique to any one culture? Because we see a lot of that happening in the US as well. People of color and women are abused more than white men. And where does this come from? Why do you think they think it's an easy target, or there's some bhadas that they take out? Why women?
Why do you do it is a question my family asks me every day, and some of my friends as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a real idiot, basically. I don't know. I have some really thick skin. No, honestly, I think that I didn't, I came onto social media because my PR forced me to, and then they regretted it every single day of their lives because they didn't know what they were unleashing. But I think that I didn't realize when initially I was on it, I didn't realize that it's going to get so vicious and it's going to get so organized in terms of the trolling. And I did not realize that basically it's like the minute you tweet or like or retweet something, it is getting stored in an archive. And so it is going to be there forever. So partly I didn't realize all these things, but I think when I came to think about it and actually consciously asked myself, like, why, what the hell are you doing and why are you doing this? It just began to seem to me that, in the world we live in today, technology and social media and all these platforms are a very integral part of our life. I mean, I don't think any of us has a conversation where after 10 minutes we haven't either checked our Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And if there's someone with whom you can talk without looking at your phone, marry that person. Because there are very few such people, who are, just everything has changed about how we interact. And I just feel that social media is also a public sphere. It's a public space, like a road is, a restaurant is, a bus stop is. So the manner in which we expect our public spaces to be safe, to have civic conduct, to have decent behavior, and where eve teasing is not okay. Our virtual public spaces should have the same kind of,
Courtesy,
kind of courtesy and same etiquette, and we should expect that from our from our virtual public spaces as well. And I think that the whole, why should we cede that space to a group of people only because they're noisier, they're more potty-mouthed, and they are more organized and have a lot of backing and money behind them? Is that reason enough to cede this space, which should ideally belong to everyone, away? Because I feel like what happens, and a lot of people tell me just ignore. The problem with ignoring is that it just sends out a message, one, that it's okay to do that, or it's that you can get away with it. And I don't think we should create a culture where there is, this kind of an attitude that you can verbally abuse women or men or anybody or minorities and get away with it.
Have there been any consequences to the people who've threatened you, or while you push back as a social media user, but have there been any real life consequences for people who put out outright threats?
Well, not yet, thankfully, and don't give them ideas. But I get a lot of, right around the election, because I was also campaigning for some of the opposition people, and we all saw how that turned out. So yeah. So around that time, there was a lot of this, people randomly at airports like asking for selfies but recording
saw that.
videos and being like, "Aayega to Modi hi," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then even on the road, like if I'm standing on the road, like I remember standing in the line to vote, like outside the booth. I just gotten out of my car and some car went by and they were like, "Madam," and I was like, "Aayega to Modi." I was like, "Okay, bro." Like, so I've had a lot of that, and a lot of course, like when people when people meet me face to face, they're actually very nice, and even some of my trolls, like they've actually come to me and taken a selfie, and they're like, "हमने आपके खिलाफ लिखा है इंटरनेट पे," and I was like, "Oh, तुमने गाली दी मेरे को?" He's like, "नहीं गाली नहीं दी, लेकिन एंटी लिखा, लेकिन अब नहीं लिखेंगे ना, अभी तो लाइव में मीटिंग हो गया है ना." So I was like, okay then. So it's really, I think why it happens is because there, as a society, we are so inured to gender violence. I mean, it doesn't bother us. It really doesn't. I mean, we have films that show a certain kind of casual violence against women as love. I've been in some of those films. I mean, let's be honest here. We have a culture where, if domestic violence, one of the most common explanations for domestic violence is, हाँ मारते हैं, but प्यार भी तो करते हैं. But like, what? So, the Bollywood, I mean, and Bollywood has a huge role to play in it, of course. But I think that it's really reflective of the fact that gender violence and issues around gender are really something that we have to keep kind of bringing people's attention to. People don't, and it's so easy. I mean, it's so you're anonymous. You can say what you want. There's no accountability. Maze karo.
But you think to move forward from there for any change, you think there have to be real life consequences to someone who threatens, a lady on social media? I know that there was one arrest, following. I don't know if the person was arrested, but the police took cognizance of it and he apologized. He had, I think, threatened a journalist with rape or something on social media. So unless there's real life consequences, just I think social kind of making people aware, would it change anything? Or you think there have to be real life consequences?
I definitely think that there has to be some consequences, because the problem is that it's so widespread and it's so hard to actually track and cap. I mean, I filed 2 FIRs recently for people, who were being particularly like offensive
and what
or
happened
so on. I mean, it's a long process because the police has to then track the IP address. They have to contact Twitter and Instagram or wherever. That's a whole process. They have to officially get the IP address from them. Then they have to track and so on. But I was chatting with the cybercrime officials in Bombay, and they said that, we do it. Like, it takes time, but we do it. Like, we've gone, they were telling me a case where they went to Jaipur and brought this, particular troll back. But I think what, it's really something that needs a larger sort of a larger discussion. And because the problem is that, the thing is that if so many of these trolls are organized, if so much of that is coming from the IT cell of one particular ruling party, then there's a problem there. It's not just random, then it's not just random jobless perverts or toxic sick men. Then there's an agenda behind it. And a lot of that trolling is organized. And I know it. I know it from the manner in which the same tweet is retweeted. I know it from the manner in which there are a certain kind of handles. At one point, all the trolls a few months ago had the prefix Chowkidar. I mean, it was bizarre. So all my entire timeline was just filled with Chowkidars abusing me. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. So, the thing is that it's not as random and general as it seems. There is an organized. So I think that until the people who are behind that don't realize that it's not good. It's not helping anyone. I mean, if you can arrest like college kids for posting like memes about politicians, I'm sure you can make sure that social media is safer for women. It can be done and it should be done.
No, absolutely. I think a will is required. Just for our audience, I highly recommend you check out this Time cover story, which I think on a year and a half ago, and Swara touched upon that. It's a cover story on behavior on digital, and it's called the online disinhibition syndrome. That how people who in real life will come up to you and be very nice, online are vicious, and that's a new condition that psychologically our species is evolving into, where if you don't have to face any immediate consequence, what you get away with and the disinhibition in your statements is a lot more. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. And when you marry that with an establishment who sees that as an asset, then just social movements aren't enough. Because for any real change to happen, the most powerful institutions have to want that change. And if the most powerful institution don't want that change, that won't happen. Just like, if you go to some other countries, like I repeat this often, that, if you go to Singapore, they have a video that plays before of if Al-Qaeda or someone attacks Singapore, what you should do. Like, dude, no one's attacking Singapore. But that is how they use those 2.5, 3 minutes before a film when we have a captive audience. How do we use it? And each time I stand, I'm seeing like a hall full of people just standing there about to watch Hud Hud Dabang and doing this or whatever else you're watching. It's such a daft sight, but that is how we use our public space and our public time. And unless people want change, the establishment, it's the most important.
And it does make a difference. Like it isn't like the rubbish that goes on social media, the hype that's being created doesn't matter, because we've seen people getting attacked. I mean, I haven't personally been attacked ever, and I hope I don't get a chanta or something somewhere. But Kanhaiya has been attacked. Omar Khalid has been attacked. I mean, the JNU students. I think that what we saw most recently, and I don't know if some of you followed it, the Zomato thing, this new thing about like cancelling orders if the drivers and the delivery boys or girls are Muslim. I mean, like, this is, it's crazy. So it means that there is a link to our behavior. We may be very nice to celebrities when we see them after we've abused them on Twitter, but the fact is that in terms of our daily life and the choices we're making, that whole hype is affecting us, It's so much so that, and I'm reasonably stubborn about beliefs and all that. I remember I downloaded Coke Studio, the Pakistani Coke Studio, season 9, which is a great season, by the way. So I downloaded it, and then it was on my phone. And then I was just going through songs. Some song started, which sounded like it was not the national anthem of Pakistan, because I think that's in Persian, in Farsi. But it was something that sounded like a, Sare Jahan Se Acha version of Pakistan. And meri phat gayi. I was like, bhai sahab, kisi ne mere phone mein ye Pakistani national anthem ya whatever the hell Pakistani patriotic song sun liya. I will be straight transported to wherever, to Pakistan, who will also probably not want me, and then, see their next stop, Syria. So it's just, it does this kind of this kind of an atmosphere of complete hysteria and vile abuse on Twitter does kind of affect you in terms of, my phone, nobody's going to look at this phone. But and I deleted the song. I was like, how the hell do you get rid of this damn song? And I didn't understand all the words. It was in very chaste Urdu or whatever. But I was like, I don't want anything that, says Pakistan, Zindabad, and some other nice words all together in one line in my phone. So, yeah.
So, when it comes to the kind of cinema that's been made, or Netflix and the arrival of all these platforms, you think the kind of content and the stories that are being told and the content generated has changed how women are represented? And because we also had an unveiling of a report on caste, the numbers of which are just the worst, as far as leadership positions in news media are concerned, Hindi and English. There was Masson, of course, which is a beautifully told story. I think in some sense, Court also touched upon that beautifully. Do you see a lot more work like that coming? Have you been offered work like that? Do you see, ironically enough, the internet that has caused the most horrible and horrific behavior of people online also being the answers to tell stories that haven't been told so far?
Absolutely. I hope that not just the internet, but I hope that our films continue to push boundaries and tell stories that have not been told and do things that they themselves or we ourselves as an industry haven't done. But, it's really a question of, and I think that the internet has definitely opened a space, because so far it is relatively free. There is not as much censorship, and there is not a CBFC to get a certificate from. There isn't the pressure of box office. So luckily there's no, this fear of your film being banned. It's a very real fear in Bollywood. But interestingly, somehow there is a sort of self-censorship that exists even on the web sort of platforms and channels, and it's not. And I know that, I mean, there is obviously a directive from the government in terms of, you know, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and which is fine. But I know for sure that there is, you know, that it's just the whole business of creating content is now one which is so sort of vexed with questions of what the backlash will be. Mm-hmm. And that's true for the web. And that's true for films, of course. I mean, films, people are petrified. I mean, it's just...
You see that certain stories aren't being told. In fact,
No.
yesterday Gulzar Saab said कि पहले ट्रेंड था कि फिल्म मेकर जो भी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट है उसके खिलाफ फिल्में बनाएंगे. अभी नया ट्रेंड चला है, जो भी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट है उनकी जय में फिल्म बनती है. पहले तो ये नहीं होता था. But just okay, let's divorce party politics from it. Just a film like Masson or Court, or even a series like the Netflix Sacred Games. There's certain aspects that it touches upon are blind spots in society that have existed for a long time. Do you see the kind of work that you're offered change because of the platform? And B, you know, coming to what you said, that your PR team says now get off social media, does it impact your commercial viability being so outspoken?
Yeah, I don't want to answer that question. Well, it definitely has an impact. I mean, I have increasingly seen a very sort of, how should we put this politely, a very cagey reaction from a lot of people in the industry and brands as well when it comes to if I'm being associated with anything. Because as I said, that the thing with this whole online, and a lot of stuff is online now, a lot of marketing is online, a lot of the publicity for any content you're working on is online. And my trolls are very organized, they're very hardworking, they never take a break. So the moment I do something where I'm associating with a brand, immediately, like literally within 5 minutes, a hashtag boycott that brand campaign will start. And brands and producers and, you know, makers are obviously very worried because for them it's, you know, it's a product that is on the line that has to be sold, and that troll may or may not be their consumer, you know, their target TG, whatever target group, and so on. So yeah, I mean, I lost 4 brands during the campaigns that I was doing, the electoral campaigns, and things. 2 of them were things that were confirmed, and then they were later like, no, sorry, and a couple of events. So there is definitely a real sort of economic, you know, there is an economic price to pay, so to speak. But honestly, I will say that I don't entirely, I mean, I actually get where these people are coming from. Because the thing is that if the atmosphere is so volatile, where you're going to punish people for, you know, the views they hold, and you're going to then punish everyone associated with the people for the views they hold, at the end of the day, it's business. Yeah. It's, you know, they have to look at their, just give a huge round of applause to Max Essay Award winner. Right here, right now. I have to stop it, and I have to do this.
आइए रवीश बैठिए.
बधाई हो सर.
Sit, Ravish. Okay, you know what we'll do since Ravish is here? I'll vacate the stage 10 minutes early after I've spoken to Swara, and I'll let Swara speak to him. She does the interview. Please,
Oh
Ravish,
my
have
God.
a seat. Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. Please have a seat. Let's continue, and then at maybe. Just give me a visual cue. When we have 10 minutes, we'll have Swara interview Ravish.
I don't think anyone wants to listen to my answer anymore.
No,
so
no, we do.
I'm
No,
okay
no, we do.
and I don't want to listen to my answer anymore.
No, I do.
I have nothing to say.
अरे मेरे सवालों का क्या होगा?
So yeah, there is, anyway, cutting a long story short, the atmosphere is very volatile. Brands and films are being made to pay. I remember the Kathua placard campaign that a bunch of us did after the Kathua case, Bollywood actresses actually, all of them. And immediately this boycott Veeredi wedding campaign started. what gives me a lot of hope is that it didn't affect the business of the film at all. Veere opened at 10 plus crores on the first day. It was the highest female-led opening for any Bollywood film ever. And it continued to grow at a pace. It was it's great. It was the highest grossing film of the first quarter of 2018. And so it didn't sort of harm the business of the film, and that is the one sort of little sliver of hope that I keep holding on to and telling all my producers. But Bollywood is scared. It's worried, legitimately so, because it is very vulnerable. Producers are vulnerable. They are at every stage. They need clearance from the government in different ways. They are susceptible to random organizations like that whole Karni Sena controversy that happened during Padmavat. They're vulnerable to all kinds of random acts of violence. You don't know then whether the government will support you, will step in, and this is not just, I want to say, it's not just this government. This happened with the previous government with films like Arakshan as well.
Right.
It was amazing, the case of Arakshan. Arakshan was a film on reservation, and basis the trailer, both pro-reservation groups and anti-reservation groups started protesting. Nobody had seen the film. They were both protesting. The film got banned in 3 states without it being, I don't know if they even viewed it when the state governments banned it. And it was the states where Prakash Jha's films make the most money. One of them was Uttar Pradesh. And it took him 3 weeks or 2 weeks to get clearance from the High Court to actually release the films, by which time pirated copies had been made, and it really harmed the film.
The financial consequences are immense.
But
if I may just kind of try to strategize for you, they say, first make the pie big and then distribute it, which is the economic kind of argument made for growth being a very important number, even if you want income inequalities to go down. Is there wisdom in saying, okay, I will not be so opinionated, and जैसा कहते हैं, आपका सितारा परचम पर है अभी, and I'm sure you get a lot of offers, but there would be more significant offers if people did not want a controversial person.
I'm trying, Papa. I'm really trying.
बेटा, हमारे डैडी बोलते थे कि no, but I'm just saying,
right,
if you do that,
right.
and then when you're like Michael Jordan, and then if you say like stop playing basketball, everyone stop playing basketball. Is there wisdom to that? Have you ever?
I mean, I really do try the best I can, and I never, I try very hard not to sort of comment on things when, but then, then things like, now rape victim, her lawyer mother randomly getting hit by a truck, which has its nameplate blackened, happen, and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
And you must speak up then.
And I mean, shouldn't we all be like, not just speaking up, but yelling, screaming, getting on streets, doing something? Like, it's like, there'll always be something at stake. They really will. And if we continue to be scared of what the consequences are, we're never going to be able to, there'll always be a consequence for whatever choice you make. Whether, so it's just really a question of, you have to ask yourself, what price am I willing to pay? And then you have to convince your family about it and your management.
But otherwise, you get enough work even though you are South.
You're making me very scared now. I have to go back and look at all my offers and all. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have told me that, Swara, you have to be careful. And like, I feel like a lot of people are more scared for me than I am for myself. And that's very sweet. But it's not too bad. I mean, I'm getting good work and I'm doing well and I'm here. And
well,
you're still calling me Abhinandan.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we are privileged to have you, and thank you so much. How much time do you have left? Because I want to take audience questions, because then they'll say that, okay, I'm just going to take 5 minutes of audience questions, and then I'll let you call Ravish and interview him. And then why don't you grill him? And then
I'm not going to grill him.
No, you must. Let's. Ab mauka mila hai, jaan nahi
We have to
dena.
call Vivek Agnihotri to grill him. I can't. This white kurta is not going to do it.
Okay, we'll have questions for her. Sorry, just 5 minutes, because then we'll have her talk to Ravish. Since Ravish is here, thank you for coming. Let me start from the back somewhere, because then we'll come up here. Okay, that young lady there. Let's go with the ladies, since they're so underrepresented in media anyway.
Yeah, you were talking of toxic masculinity in the film industry. Recently, we had a very leading Bollywood hero play a very creepy character. Let's call it Kabir Singh for the simple stuff. But there was no backlash from the industry itself in terms of the actors So
No, of course
Kabir
not.
Khan, right.
No, Kabir Singh.
sorry, Kabir Singh.
You're a
Yeah.
mess.
I mean, what was problematic was the director seems to have rationalized it as, you know, like if in a domestic partnership, you don't have the freedom to violate physically or mentally your partner, you know, that's not a
Is
relationship.
it even love?
This is a society where our politicians are defending that Kuldeep Sengar person, where the party he belongs to is not able to expel him, but is only able to suspend him. Are you really surprised that there are people who think that physical violence is the most passionate form of love? I'm not surprised at all. And the thing is that honestly, I wouldn't, you know, I don't expect the backlash to come from Bollywood for Kabir Singh, because it really shouldn't. It is ultimately a colleague's film, and it is, it's there is a lot of sense in Bollywood that we shouldn't run down the work of one of our own, and you know, why should we? And so, and in some way, I can understand where that's coming from, but my question is, why the hell did that film make 250 crores or 200 plus crores or whatever? That's not because of Bollywood. That's because audiences in Delhi, in Bombay, in the metros have gone to watch that film, including girls. And they have liked the film. They have gone again. They have taken their friends. I don't know if they've taken their families, but they've taken their friends and so on. And, you know, they've liked the film. Girls have liked the film. I've heard young women be like, no, you know, we enjoyed it and he was so good. And I'm sure the acting was great. So, you know, I think that when a film does well, or when a film is made, the best way to teach Bollywood that you don't want to see misogyny on screen is to not watch that film in theaters, and is to somehow make sure that the film doesn't do the kind of business it does. Because if there's anything Bollywood understands, it's numbers. And so, for me, in all that mess of the kind of misogyny that's being propagated on screen these days, and it has always been, for me, something that is very hopeful is that a film like Article 15 does 70 plus crores in the same weeks that Kabir Singh is also running. And I think that those are the things we should hold on to, that there is a sort of a new kind of cinema that is emerging in Bollywood, in mainstream commercial Bollywood. It's not like films haven't been made on cast. We've had a whole new wave kind of phase. But that mainstream Bollywood with an A-list actor who has just delivered 100 crore films is willing to do a film like Article 15, which, and we may agree or disagree on, you know, the savior complex or whatnot, but there is no denying that it raises issues and questions, and it represents things that mainstream commercial Bollywood has never done. So I think that the best way to do it is just go and watch all those, you know, all the chota films.
Okay, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of other questions, but since Ravish is here, I'm sure you won't mind ceding space to Swara's, you know, let her ask some questions that you would have liked to. Ravish, please, thank you for coming. Come on stage. This is... Is side se. Oh, would you... no, I'll just stand around uselessly. So... okay. Okay, so just letting you know, this is an unscheduled session. Ravish, please have a seat. Ravish, please sit. So this wasn't scheduled. Ravish has spoken at the Media Rumble earlier, and this is the third Media Rumble. We said, हर बार रवीश को बुलाएंगे तो they say there are no other voices. लेकिन क्या करें रवीश? Even when you don't call you, आपको कुछ award मिल जाता है, आपको आना पड़ता है. So huge round of applause for Ravish. And you know, the Media Rumble is thrilled to have two such brave people. While I, you know, was telling my child Swara कि बेटा मत tweet करो, अपना जरा commercial देखो, future देखो, settle हो जाओ. अच्छा है लड़का जोरी गान से वो उसको भी दिखा देंगे. लेकिन but she, if she sees something that must be commented on, she does. And we're thrilled to have two such brave people at the Media Rumble. And I'll hand the mic over to, okay, you already have mics. Swara, please ask Ravish what you think should be asked, and don't be gentle.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपकी तालियों का, और आपने इतना प्यार दिया मुझे. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सभी का.
सर, बहुत बधाई हो आपको, और मैं ये ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगी कि इससे बेहतर जवाब नहीं हो सकता था. आपके सारे जितने भी आपके समीक्षक हैं और जो सारे नफरती चिंटू हैं जो उतना ही आपके पीछे पड़ते हैं जितना मेरे। उनके लिए इससे बेहतर जवाब नहीं हो सकता था। बहुत बहुत बधाई। आई थिंक आपके इस अचीवमेंट ने बहुत सारे लोगों को उम्मीद दी है भारत में। बट क्या करें सर, करें क्या? जो बाकी जो आपने ही टर्म दिया है गोदी मीडिया, और जिस दिशा में मीडिया निकल रही है, क्या किया जाए? उन जिस किस्म की हेडलाइंस आती हैं, क्या किया जाए उनका?
उनका तो कुछ हो नहीं सकता है, लेकिन हम लोगों को अपना काम करते रहना पड़ेगा। अगर हम जो भी यकीन करते हैं आज इस समय में, जो थोड़े बचे खुचे लोग हैं, उन सबको ज़्यादा काम करने की ज़रूरत है, और एक के बदले 11 से 11,000 होने की ज़रूरत है। टीवी ने स्वरा सचमुच बहुत नुकसान किया है। ख़ासकर मैं देख रहा था, कुछ दिनों के लिए बाहर था, कि एक एंकर अपर्णा सिंह का, जिसका नाम अर्नब गोस्वामी है, हाँ, मैं ऐसे बात नहीं करता, वो उन्होंने कहा, इन्होंने कहा, नाम लेके करना चाहिए। तो अपर्णा सिंह का कुछ वीडियो चल रहा है और वो कुछ बड़बड़ा रहे हैं उसको करके, और वो धमकी दे रहे हैं, ललकार रहे हैं। तो मैं ये सोच रहा था कि जिस राज्य से मैं आता हूँ, वहाँ मैंने एक से एक बाहुबली देखे। वो कभी बंदूक चलाते थे, कभी कुछ चलाते थे, लेकिन इस तरह की हरकत मैंने कभी नहीं देखी। मैंने कि ये टीवी के एक नए बाहुबली लोग हैं, जो अपने आप को समझते हैं कि उनके पास पीएमओ में एक्सेस है, होम मिनिस्टर की के यहाँ एक्सेस है, तो वो कुछ भी टीवी पे बोल सकते हैं, है ना। और चूँकि उनके पास स्क्रीन है जिसमें लाल पीला लगा के ट्रेटर, फ्रेटर, ये सब, ट्रैक्टर और जीप, ये सब लिख सकते हैं उसके बारे में। थोड़ी चिंता तो होनी चाहिए ना। और अगर वो अच्छा है तो फिर उसी सैंपल को स्कूलों में बांट देना चाहिए, कि स्कूलों में इस तरह से बात करना सिखाया जाए। इस तरह से, मतलब हमारे यहाँ अभी तक तो जितने भी बदमाश लोग पैदा, वो हिंदी बोला करते थे लोकल लैंग्वेज में। इंग्लिश वाले बदमाश अब पैदा हुए हैं। भाषा देखिए ना, वो हम तो सोचते थे कि अंग्रेजी बोलने में थोड़ा कल्चर आ जाएगा, स्टाइल आ जाएगा, थोड़ा हाँ, थोड़ा शेक्सपियर साहब आपकी आत्मा में प्रवेश कर जाएंगे और कांटा छुरी चम्मच आ जाएगा। मतलब ये मैं पहली बार देख रहा हूँ कि जो भाषा है, अंग्रेज़ी भाषा का भी इस्तेमाल जो है वो रफियन तरीके से की जा सकती है। तो अच्छा है, ठीक है। हम ऐसे अंग्रेज़ी का नुकसान नहीं कर सके, लेकिन इस तरह से अंग्रेज़ी बोलने वाले अंग्रेज़ी का नुकसान करें तो हमारा तो फ़ायदा है इसमें। तो डरावना है, लेकिन हम लोग और मार्जिनलाइज्ड होंगे, है ना, उसकी चिंता नहीं करनी है। ये बात, ये अवार्ड नहीं मिला होता तो भी मैं यही बात कर रहा होता कि हम सबको अपनी अपनी ज़मीन पर खड़े होकर अपनी बात कहते रहनी चाहिए।
बट सर आपको, और दिस इज क्वेश्चन दैट आई हैव एक्चुअली बिगन टू आस्क नाउ।
मत बोलो यार, मतलब
अरे व्हाट डू यू मीन, मैं बॉलीवुड से हूँ, सब लोग सर हैं।
एक आध बार के लिए ठीक है।
And this is something I've been thinking about, especially after my experience on the internet. I've always been a great sort of believer in freedom of speech and expression, and in the fact that, it doesn't matter if it's offensive to someone, but, that is something that has to be protected. And anyway, we don't have much of it in India, and even what we have in our constitution is fairly sort of curbed in different ways. But now, in terms of what is happening in both the media and social media, and just in terms of what people feel that they are able to say, sometimes even in public, in actual live interactions, I'm beginning to wonder about freedom of speech and expression and how absolute it should be, because the right wing in our country has used that in a very sinister manner to actually say all kinds of vile things about communities that are already marginalized and sort of in lesser positions of power. That's one question. The second question is that, so what do you think about that? And the second question is that, is there a way to make these fake news propagating websites and handles and some news channels? I mean, there are some news channels which are legit news channels which have 2-3 of them have had more than 2 and 3 cases of reporting inaccurate news. And it would seem deliberately, because the kind of tickers, as you said, and the headlines that they were running were very sort of, they were inciting a certain kind of hysteria. So is there a way to actually make media and that Godi media accountable?
नहीं, उसका कोई रास्ता नहीं है। जब तक ये राजनीति बदलेगी नहीं, आप इस टीवी को अब नहीं बदल सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये टेलीविज़न उसका एक्सटेंशन है। और ये अब मीडिया लोगों की तरफ से नहीं है, ये सरकार की तरफ से है और सरकार के लिए है और सरकार के द्वारा संचालित है एक तरह से। तो इसमें हम तो अब नहीं बदल सकते हैं, लोगों को ही बदला जा सकता है, उन्हीं से कहा जा सकता है कि आप ये जो देख रहे हैं, इतना ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि अगर ये न्यूज़ चैनल वाले जिसको मार्जिनलाइज्ड कहते हैं, सीधा सीधा बोलना चाहिए कि अगर मुसलमानों को लेकर अगर इस तरह की धारणाएं फैला रहे हैं तो वो कर क्या रहे हैं? वो कर ये रहे हैं कि हिंदू कम्युनिटी में डर पैदा कर रहे हैं और उन बच्चों को जिन्हें अभी समझने की ज़रूरत है, जब बड़े लोग भी, उन सब में एक कम्युनलाइजेशन की प्रक्रिया को वो रिइंस्टेट कर रहे हैं, उसको लेजिटिमाइज कर रहे हैं ना। तो जब आप कम्युनल हो जाएंगे, मैं तो लड़कियों की चिंता करता हूँ कि उनकी शादी होगी कैसे कम्युनल लोगों के साथ, और बाप रे बाप, है तो डर भी लगता है कि होगा क्या। मतलब इस दुनिया में अगर आपके बच्चे इस तरह से मुसलमानों के प्रति नफ़रत को पालते पालते बड़े होंगे, वो किसी पार्टी को वोट दे सकते हैं, उसके बगैर भी आप बिना नफ़रत किए हुए भी बीजेपी को वोट दे सकते हैं, ये तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है। लेकिन ये कम्युनलाइजेशन अब जाएगा नहीं, क्योंकि ये वेपन है और इसके बदले सरकार को बहुत फ़ायदा होता है और ये एक वॉल बन गया है, क्योंकि ताकि जो रियल इश्यूज़ हैं वो उठ के ना आएँ और वो मल्टीप्लाई ना करे। तो जो जहाँ है और वो लाखों की संख्या में है, तो नंबर मीनिंगलेस होता जा रहा है स्वरा। अभी देखिए कि रेलवे के बहुत सारे कॉरपोरेशंस में मार्च हो रहे हैं, लोग रोज़ दोपहर को लोग निकलते हैं और मार्च करते हैं कि हमारा प्रोटेस्ट है। लेकिन अब वो लोग क्या हैं, वो कंज्यूमर हैं उसी मीडिया के, उसी मीडिया को देखते हैं। अब कहीं कवरेज नहीं है तो फ्रस्ट्रेशन में अपना ही वीडियो बना के व्हाट्सअप कर रहे हैं सब आपस में, और कुछ मुझे भेज देते हैं, बाकी सब वो कहीं खो जाता है। तो ये लोग जो है, तो टेलीविज़न क्या कर रहा है, मीडिया क्या कर रहा है कि लोगों को एलिमिनेट कर रहा है और पावर को लोगों का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव इस तरह से बना दिया है कि अब लोग की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है। तो ये बदलेगा क्या? इतने सारे चैनल को हम नहीं बदल सकते हैं। ख़ासकर ये बड़ा शर्मनाक है कि हमारा कॉरपोरेट उन सब चैनलों को, उन सब कार्यक्रमों को स्पॉन्सर करता है जो धर्मांधता, जिंगोइज़्म, और ये दुनिया को बताना चाहिए कि ये लोग जो ब्लैक सूट में पहन के मैगजीन के कवर पे हीरो बन के आते हैं, दरअसल ये लोग सारे कम्युनल बिगटरी, जो ये सारी चीज़ें हैं, फोबिया है, इन सब को स्पॉन्सर करते हैं। और हमने अभी अपने कॉरपोरेट के ये हीरो लोगों को बोला नहीं अभी तक कि भाई आप कर क्या रहे हैं, क्या आप अपने बच्चों को हिंदू मुस्लिम सिखाएंगे?
इस पर एक सेशन मीडिया नंबर पे है, डू एडवर्टाइजर्स केयर अबाउट द क्वालिटी, इज दैट सेशन टुडे? इट्स टुडे दैट डू
नहीं, क्वालिटी तो दूसरी चीज हो गई। उनसे ये पूछना चाहिए कि भाई आप कम्युनल प्रोग्राम को आप स्पॉन्सर करते हैं, वो अलग चीज हो गई। क्वालिटी तो हमारा खराब हो सकता है, आपका थोड़ा अच्छा हो सकता है।
क्वालिटी इट्स अ यूफेमिज्म फॉर व्हाट यू सेइंग, बट वी थॉट वीड कीप इट पोलाइट।
लेकिन ये नहीं बदलने वाला, क्योंकि इन सब चीज़ों के लिए आज बहुत स्पॉन्सरशिप है। जितने भी ये सब न्यूज़ फैलाने वाले लोग हैं, कम्युनल चीज़ें फैलाने वाले हैं, इनको सैडली हमारा कॉरपोरेट बहुत सपोर्ट करता है। और कहना चाहिए कि हमारा कॉरपोरेट बहुत ज़्यादा कम्युनल हो गया है, क्योंकि उसका पैसा अगर इस तरह के कम्युनल प्रोग्राम में अगर स्पॉन्सरशिप में जा रहा है, तो ये सिर्फ टीआरपी का मामला नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि वो घरों में टीवी नहीं देखते हैं और सब कुछ मीटर ही सही बोल रहा है। अगर मीटर की ही बात है तो आप कुछ भी दे दो, तो फिर आप किसी मर्डरर को दे दीजिए। बहुत सारे बाहुबली बहुत अपने अपने इलाके में पॉपुलर होते हैं, तो जाके उन्हीं को आप अपना ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बना दीजिए। आपका कुकर, आपका बिस्किट सब बिकता रहेगा।
बट सर वो तो मुड़ के आपको यही बोलेंगे ना कि भाई हमें नहीं, बट वो तो मुड़ के यही बोलेंगे ना, भाई हमें तो बेचना है, हमें तो वो प्रॉफिट दिखाना पड़ेगा। और अगर इस देश में जो सरकार आ रही है और जिस मैंडेट के साथ आ रही है, तो कॉर्पोरेट वाला तो बोलेगा कि भाई मेरी दुकान क्यों बंद करा रहे हो तुम?
मेरी दुकान तो उनकी और भी कहीं चल सकती है। आप बाहर, उनका कुछ तो स्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए। आप अमेरिका का उदाहरण देख लीजिए कि बहुत सारे ऐसी कंपनियां हैं जो ये कहती हैं कि हम इस तरह की चीज़ों को स्पॉन्सर नहीं करते हैं, हम नहीं देते। तो इनका अपना कुछ भी एथिक्स नहीं है। कुछ तो होना चाहिए ना इनका। और ये सवाल तो पहले उठना चाहिए ना कि ये इन सब इतने बड़े बड़ी चीज़ों का, इस तरह से कम्युनल और इस तरह से हेट्रेड फैलाने वाले कार्यक्रमों का न्यूज़ एंकर, जिसकी भाषा, लैंग्वेज देखिए कि कितना, मतलब कितनी संभावना हो गई है कि उसमें आप वायलेंस क्रिएट कर सकते हैं लैंग्वेज में, तो उसको आप स्पॉन्सर कर रहे हैं।
But sorry, I just want to say that big round of applause for Zomato and for Deepinder Goyal, who took a very firm stand and actually said in his tweet that we don't mind losing business from customers like this if you are going to try and create this kind of hate and division. I mean, I don't remember the exact tweet, but I think that's laudable. कि,
बिल्कुल, और भी इस समय में बोलना जाकर openly.
Such brands are rare, but you know what you touched upon, the freedom of speech, and should there be
Yeah,
restrictions? You know, freedom of speech is something that is very dear to me as a principle, as a value. And what you spoke about, I have actually thought a great deal about this in the last 6-8 months. And I have a thesis which is the following. I had the opportunity of going for a program to Germany, where I gave this anecdote yesterday at a session where I made a joke with, you know, my hosts were there who were running the program, which had to do with Hitler and the Second World War, and they said, you cannot do that here. It's not just not good taste, it's not legal. Then I was in Rwanda just a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, and those of you who know, it was the last genocide of that scale that has happened. It was, I think, in 92 or 94, where the Hutu and Tutsi community fought and about 1 million people were hacked to death. It is the most disgusting way of society just turned on itself. Neighbors killed neighbors, 2-year-old children, and when you go through that memorial, it just, even if you're not a very emotional person, you can't help but, you know, getting teary-eyed. There you cannot, there is no absolute freedom of speech. You cannot ask someone his caste. It is punishable. So I thought about it that, and ironically enough, I was in Germany for a session on liberal values, and freedom of speech is an important liberal value. So just like I think for any society to draw a line that you can't say this, they have to undergo a historical injustice at a scale never seen before. For Germany, it was the Holocaust, and for Rwanda, it was the genocide of the Hutu community. But it's like, and I'm saying this purely as an observation. I'm not attaching a value to it, it's a good thing or a bad thing, but just like in Minority Report, you can't punish someone for thinking something. You have to do it. Just like, you know, Bush was criticized for, you know, that person may have done something, so we take him into custody. If he hasn't done it yet, you cannot punish him. Similarly, for a society to put restrictions on a freedom of speech, unfortunately, until the society bears the brunt of a historical injustice at a scale never seen before, then you will say, okay, now you can't say this. But until then, unfortunately, we'll have to wait for something that ugly to happen for there to be
I'm leaving this session just filled with so much hope. रवि जी कह रहे हैं कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, ये कह रहे हैं एक हिस्टोरिकल इंजस्टिस का इंतजार करना पड़ेगा.
जो उन चैनलों का कुछ नहीं हो सकता, इसका मतलब नहीं कि दुनिया का कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. मैं उन 4 चैनलों की बात कर रहा हूँ, उन 5 चैनलों की बात कर रहा हूँ. दुनिया उससे भी बड़ी है. और ऐसा नहीं है कि लोग जागते उठते उन्हीं को देख रहे हैं. और सूरज जो है वो सिर्फ एक जगह से तो निकलता नहीं है ना, वो कई जगह से निकलता है इस धरती पे. तो यहाँ नहीं, यहाँ डूब रहा होता तो कहीं और निकल रहा होता. तो इसलिए इनका कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. लेकिन हाँ, समाज को एक दिन समझना पड़ेगा, उसमें बहुत उम्मीदें हैं. और मैं खुद भी कल से देख रहा हूँ कि वो कौन लोग हैं जो पूरी रात भर मुझे मैसेज भेजते रहे. और 8,000 9,000 मैसेज है. और
अच्छे कि बुरे?
अच्छे, सारे अच्छे हैं.
आजकल कह नहीं सकते.
मुझे लगता है कि सारे ट्रोल शिमला गए हैं छुट्टी पे कल से. तो कल कोई ट्रोल आया ही नहीं. और जो पहला मैसेज आया मैं डर गया. जिसने मुझे सबसे पहले ट्रोल किया था उसका नंबर सेव है मुझे, उसने ही मुझे बधाई दी. तो मैंने कहा ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है कि
आपका शो देख देख के उसका हृदय परिवर्तन हो गया.
मुझे, मैं खोलने से पहले सोच रहा था कि ये ज़रूर इसमें गालियाँ होंगी, लेकिन वो अच्छी बातें उसने लिखी थी कि मुझे बड़ा गर्व है. फिर मुझे लगा कि शायद ये इतने दिनों में भूल गया होगा, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं, ये अच्छी बात है. तो इसीलिए कह रहे हैं, उम्मीद है लोगों को ही, चूँकि गलत जानकारी दी गई है, सही बात बताने से लोग बदलते हैं. और मेरे पास कुछ नहीं तो मैं दिखा सकता हूँ. अब पहले बहुत सारा मैं तो डिलीट कर दिया और चिट्ठियाँ रख नहीं सकता, कितना रखूँगा. पर तब भी 400 500 हज़ार चिट्ठियाँ अब मेरे पास हैं जिसमें लोगों ने प्रॉपर तरीके से अपोलोजाइज़ किया है कि वो इस तरह से वायलेंटली आपके बारे में सोचते थे, वो अब नहीं सोचते. और ये नॉर्मल बात नहीं है. मैंने तो उनसे नहीं कहा कि आप मुझसे माफ़ी मांगिए, लेकिन लिखना किसी को कि हम आपके बारे में ऐसा ऐसा सोचते थे, मार देने की बात करते थे, मैं खुद गालियाँ देता था पर अब मैं नहीं देता हूँ, मुझे अफसोस होता है, ये बड़ी बात है. मुझे लगता है कि ये सिर्फ बड़प्पन नहीं है, हर किसी में बड़ा होने की संभावना है. तो मुझे लगता है कि हम थोड़ा कंपैशनेटली उनसे डील करें, बात करें उनको अच्छे से, तो वो बदलाव होगा. क्योंकि कोई इतना वायलेंस लेके कोई रह नहीं सकता है.
Okay, I have been told we're completely out of time, and I am thrilled. I feel privileged and excited to be on stage with 2 such brave, wonderful achievers. A big round of applause for both of them. Thank you, Swara, for making the time a pleasure. I'm so glad you came. Thanks, Ravish, for coming on such a short notice. Always a pleasure. Congratulations.